This former Mr. Universe is fighting for his life after jumping through a two-story window. If you don't know who this individual is, he's Calum von Moger, a very aesthetically appealing bodybuilder, right? Like his physique is pretty amazing for basically any guy out there, right? Like if you are like striving to look really good as a guy, his physique is pretty top tier, right? And also, he has probably made millions and millions of dollars from his social media, his businesses, all that kind of stuff, right? And the reason why we're talking about this is that just because you have money, just because you have fame, doesn't mean that your mind is going to be all right, okay? Because apparently, he was acting very erratically for like a few months to like maybe even like a year before him actually ending up jumping out of the window. But let's read this story. So, former Mr. Universe Calum von Moger has been left fighting for his life after jumping through a window, it has been reported. The Australian actor in Bodybuilder, 31, is said to have plunged from a second store window last week. Which, by the way, imagine having the balls to literally jump out of a two-story window. Like, your mind is not okay if you have the capability of doing something like that, okay? Because so many people have like this mental barrier, like, whoa, 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 I'm about to do what? So Moger is best known for his portrayal of Arnold, you know, the Arnold of bodybuilding, the like most famous bodybuilder, right? In the 2018 film Bigger. According to Generation Iron, Moger seriously injured his spine in the fall on May 6 and underwent a major operation. Fellow bodybuilder and YouTuber Nick Trigili said the three-time Mr. Universe winner was still in the hospital in an induced coma. Trigili claimed Moger was under the influence of drugs at the time of the incident. And Moger, who has 3.2 million Instagram followers, suffered a large number of cuts from the glass, according to reports. And Trigili, who runs the Bodybuilding and BS YouTube channel, hold on. Wait, where did it go? Huh? Wait, where did it go? Okay, yeah. Ba-ba-ba. Trigili, who runs the Bodybuilding and BS YouTube channel, said in his video, Calum is hitting a rough spot, and I hope this rock bottom for him and he can get his life back. By the way, I basically stumbled upon this story due to a YouTuber called Greg Doucette. And the thing is, like, it's interesting because you could tell that the way that he was acting before this window jump was not okay, right? He was acting very erratically. Not too long ago, he literally was involved in road rage, attacking another vehicle with a person inside it with a machete, okay? Then he apparently picked on basically a little girl and like basically ridiculing her on like film or something. So he was already acting erratically, right? Like he wasn't acting like a normally mental okay person. So if he was using the different types of drugs that he potentially was using, for example, cocaine, meth, tren, testosterone, because again, he is also a bodybuilder, so he's probably doing some form of performance enhancing drugs on top of recreational drugs that could potentially just be destroying his mind with that combination. So, according to reports, Moger was recently kicked out of his family's house in Australia. In an emotional post on Instagram last week, he said, "Everyone has a past. We've all been through hard times. I admit I messed up bad many times. But I don't care about dwelling on negative thoughts of the past. All I care about is that I learn from my mistakes and become a better person." And there's nothing wrong with this statement. The only problem is, what sort of demons were you dealing with mentally to where the better option in your mind was to jump outside of a window? Like, that is some really dark stuff. Like, to jump outside of a window to potentially end it, that's really dark. The positive achievements I've done in my life far outweigh the muck ups I had along the way. All I can ask is for your forgiveness so I can keep moving forward on the right path again. And fans rushed to send messages of support after learning of Moger's injury. One said, "Praying for you, man. You were my first inspiration with fitness, and I'm hoping you get through these hard times." And here's the thing, I believe he's still basically in a coma at the time of this. But here's the thing, right? No matter where you are in life, whether you're doing good with money or not good with money, all that sort of stuff, right? If you're doing good with fitness or not with fitness, if mentally you feel like you are off, you need to go talk to someone. Talk to a loved one, talk to a therapist. If you got to pay for it, okay, pay for someone to talk to you, right? Because the thing is, the worst place for you to be is alone when you're dealing with something potentially mentally devastating to lead to the extent of you potentially ending it, right? Like, that is like the worst situation to be in, because if you can't talk to anyone, it's going to get bad, right? Because you got no one there to support you. And like, here's the thing, even if someone doesn't necessarily tell you anything good, having the ability to just basically, just spit words at someone, right, or to someone, will just make you feel better as well. Even if they say horrendous things in response to you, just having any sort of feedback for you just talking to someone is better than nothing. Like, it's the same reason why a lot of people who might maybe go to like prison or something and end up going to like the isolation kind of thing potentially go absolutely nuts if they were to go down that path, because they need that human interaction. Good or bad, human interaction is very important. So, just to keep that in mind. But that being said, mental issues tend to be a lot easier to deal with if everything else in your life is kind of like okay, right? So, what I mean by this, now his situation is extremely erratic because, I mean, he was probably doing a lot of recreational drugs, a lot of performance enhancing drugs, and the combination of them, plus on top of maybe mental health issues, led to something potentially really bad. That being said, for like a normal person who is not doing recreational drugs, who's not necessarily doing any performance enhancing drugs, meaning like they're not putting anything extra into their body, right? And maybe they're just dealing with like the mental issues. Having your money set up right, having your health set up right, would end up making dealing with the mental issues a little bit easier. So, what I mean by this, if you don't have debt, if you don't have to stress about bills, if you don't have to stress about your health in terms of like how much, like, potentially like dying from like a heart attack or whatever, right? Because you're too overweight. Dealing with your mental issues will be a little bit easier on you, right? Because you have less other things to worry about, right? So you have less excuses to not deal with it, right? Because if your money's okay and your health is okay, like physical health okay, then you should have the time and the money to be able to deal with your mental health in a better way, right? But here's the thing, a lot of people cannot deal with it for various reasons. I'm just saying that it'd be a lot easier to deal with potentially very serious mental health if everything else is set up accordingly, right? So that being said, if you want to learn how to get out of debt, go to 40bucks.com. I really hope that he ends up surviving, getting out of the coma, getting out of the ICU. But apparently he is in the ICU, and that's a very bad place to be in after something like this. So who knows what's going to happen? But again, for anyone who's dealing with like mental health issues out there that might stumble upon this, go talk to a therapist, go talk to a loved one, go pay someone to talk to you or whatever if you need that as well. If there's no one that you even can trust or don't even want to like let your close friends know or whatever, your family know about whatever it is that you're dealing with. Because here's the reality. Mental health can be very detrimental regardless of how well you're doing in life, right? Like if you don't take care of it. So just be very careful with this stuff. If there's any indication of you potentially ending it, you need to talk to someone, right? Because that's not something that's going to be easy to deal with. It would be a lot easier to deal with it if you have less extra stuff to worry about, like your money or your physical health, but it's still going to be extremely hard to deal with. So just keep that in mind. This is some pretty serious stuff, and yeah.